So, you've landed the treasurer's role. I guess you're asking, what's next? What is expected of you holding this treasurer's role? Today I want to talk to you about the treasurer's role and the fundamental importance of resourcing your board with accurate and meaningful financial information. The key outcomes of today's session are about understanding that treasurer's role and thinking about the fundamentals of resourcing the rest of the board with really sound financial information. So informing and resourcing is your role now as the treasurer, and I want to walk through your responsibilities with you. So how are you going to do this, and who's in your team is important. What you will need to be able to achieve your role as the treasurer, the tools that might be available to you, the kind of reports that you want to be presenting, and most of all, building your confidence in the space of the boardroom. So what we're aiming for is engaged conversation and understanding from other board members about the current financial position and performance of your organisation. It's not only your responsibility, but it's the whole of the board's responsibility in understanding the financial management of your service that you are now holding a leadership position of. We want to know who's reading those reports and how to make them more meaningful. And what are some of the key areas that you need to be tracking and looking at the trends to support the CEO in being effective in their role as well. Let's talk about who's in your team in supporting you to be the best you can be in your treasurer's role. So does your organisation have a bookkeeper? Who's managing those financial records? And that's probably a key question to ask as you take on the treasurer's role. One of your roles will be about engaging with the CEO around the financial management of the service and talking about the budgets and projected future outcomes that you're hoping to achieve for the organisation. So who is it in the team? We have the bookkeeper, we have the treasurer, and we have the CEO. So how are you going to engage, and at what level are you engaging with those team members? It's important for you to understand the financial reports that you need to ask for from your bookkeeper. The profit and loss report, the balance sheet, and the cash flow report, as well as analysing the budget. They're your starting point to engage around the financial management of your service. The timing of these reports is important. So when is the rest of the board getting to see these financial reports? We certainly don't want the situation of the board reports being tabled at the board meeting at the time when everyone's walking in. People need time to review the financial report so that they can gather their thoughts and have some pertinent questions to ask when they come to the table. What we're aiming for in the boardroom space is engaged conversation around those financial reports. So what is it that your organisation needs to track? What is important? Is it about the level of grant funding you're receiving? Is it about monitoring your largest cost expense, which most probably will be your salary and wages component when we're a non-profit organisation working in the community space and human resources. So tracking these costs is important, and then being able to relay that information to the rest of your board. Informing and resourcing is your new job as the treasurer of your non-profit organisation. It's about informing and resourcing because it's everybody's responsibility to be well engaged about the financial management of your service. What skill sets are coming into the boardroom? And who's reading the financial reports? Who's reading all of the reports that are coming to the boardroom table? What we're wanting to do is understand the skill level of those people reading those financial reports and how we can make those reports more meaningful to the target audience. These reports are about building the foundations for effective decision making in the allocation of often scarce resources within your organisation. So making critical decisions and having the resources and the information to support that decision making as you sit around the boardroom. Another chart could be developed would be about your expenses and monitoring your expenses and identifying some key risk areas or some high cost components for your organisation. So it might be tracking salaries and wages, but it might be tracking something else, such as the number of programs that you're running. So thinking about how we can turn those numbers and that data into meaningful reports, because our aim as a treasurer is to get engaged conversation and some commitment to reading those financial reports. The budget is another important report that needs to be reviewed at the board meeting. The budget enables you to review where you are actually at with the organisation's financials and where you thought you were going to be. Sometimes we might have allocated some funds for training purposes. Say, for example, we wanted to train 3 new staff members up. If we haven't spent those funds, it's an indicator when we review the budget that those funds remain unspent. But what this enables us to do is ask the question, are we on track to achieving that outcome for the organisation, and what's happened? So your budget enables you to ask the question, why? So why haven't we spent those funds? And the simple answer might be that we've been able to tap into some affordable training or some free training workshops that have enabled our staff to be skilled up. So it's not always a negative when we're reviewing our financial reports in comparison to budget. But really getting clear with it's an opportunity to ask the question why and to review where you thought you were going to be and see where you actually are. So when we're providing meaningful information via our financial reports as a treasurer to inform and resource the board in their effective decision making, we're creating the space for other board members to ask questions about the organisation. Your role as the treasurer is about creating that space and empowering those to ask those questions without feeling intimidated. When you have questions coming to the table, you know you're winning, when others begin to join in with their questions too. So don't be the only voice around the table and aim for engagement.